Welcome back to the channel. This is your boy Rich here, back with another video. Today we got an exciting look at the Indiana Fever's new schedule for the 2025 season, just released today. Just going to react to it here for you guys, give you some observations as well as a couple cool things I've seen from Twitter. Of course, first thing I noticed is our big three. Sorry to Aaliyah, my logo's blocking out. I'll just move it a little bit to see if I could pay the proper respect to Aaliyah right there. We'll move it over. And, we got Caitlin, Kelsey, and Aaliyah Boston. Hopefully that answers some questions about what they plan to do with Kelsey Mitchell. If they're throwing her in advertising, they're not, anticipating on losing her. Of course, the money match in the league, they're going to start, Indiana versus Chicago to begin the season. That's going to be a home game. Everything that is circled is a home game. Everything else is on the road. Of course, the Commissioner's Cup stuff's in yellow or green. I can't really tell. Next thing I noticed kind of is when I'm going to be able to attend a game in Atlanta for the third game of the season. And, seeing how that beginning of the year starts, this seems a lot more favorable to the Fever now. Last year, juggernaut after juggernaut after juggernaut. Well, we're the big dogs now. So, we got, some home games early, it looks like. There was a cool stat that got pointed out by Correlation on Twitter. Shout out to her. Instead of 11 games in 20 days, which was so tough for the Fever to kind of do in their, first season with this unit together, 11 games in 32 days. I anticipate a much stronger start as, they'll get New York twice within, the first 10 games or so. Early season matchup with Connecticut, which will be interesting for a number of reasons. Stephanie White going up against her old team. Dejanay Carrington, coming to, see about it with the Fever. And there's another note that the first time that the Fever and the Sun play on the, where it is a Sun home game will actually be in TD Garden in Boston. So that's going to be a huge game. I anticipate, a rabid audience either way. And, the Fever might get some love out there. So don't be surprised that it's going to be like probably anywhere else in the WNBA with the Fever, traveling so well, with their fans showing up on the road. 5 games against Chicago. That's a huge thing. This league has decided, hey, we know what we have here in this matchup. We know people will watch. And quite frankly, I'm ready to see the Indian Fever walk the dog some more with the Chicago Sky. The one game we lost last year, lost by 1 point, should have been a sweep. We all know what happened on Barbie night. That was kind of a message that Caitlin Clark was sending not only to Angel Reese, not only to the Chicago Sky fans, but to the league at large. That was the night I think she pretty much put the fake Rookie of the Year race in the casket, that I think wasn't actually a race. First time she's going to see Paige Beckers, Caitlin, will be June 27th, it looks like, and that's going to be a road game. It'll be in Dallas. I'm actually going to be in Dallas next year for AEW Wrestling's All In. I originally misread the schedule and thought I would be able to go to a away Dallas game with the Fever there, but that's going to be a Fever home game on July 13th. So looking at it, there's a huge part in the middle of the season. This feels a lot more balanced than last year. We had those 6 games at home last year to kind of wrap up the season. It was like, the final 10 games or so. There was like, 6 straight home games. Now it's in the middle of the season. And that's going to be, big games against Las Vegas. Who knows how that will go? We know Asia Wilson was terrified about showing up to Indiana. So we'll see if that, happens. If it's going to be some stuff going down and all that. Los Angeles Sparks, they'll have a high draft pick. Should be a little bit improved. Hopefully Cam Brink is back. Golden State, we don't even know who's on that roster yet, but I know some folks watching this videos have some ideas about who they wish to be on that roster. Hello, Melissa Smith. Atlanta, and then Dallas. That's a Sunday matchup. So these are kind of programmed to be key games, it looks like. I think that doing that gets, the players into Indiana already kind of a week before the All-Star game. And of course, the All-Star game stuff is going to be July 18th and 19th. That'll be pretty fun to see. New York, there's matchups on June 14th, which is in the Commissioner's Cup, July 16th and July 22nd. So, get New York once at home early. So that's going to be interesting. Another matchup I'm looking forward to is Minnesota, but we're not going to see them kind of until the second half of the season, end of the year, seemingly back-to-backs with Minnesota. And that's going to be August 22nd, 24th, and then ending the season against Minnesota. So one of my favorite players, Nafisa Collier, and someone I think, if you're an Indiana Fever fan, she's an awesome player if you're looking for more players to watch in the league. Seattle, that's going to be an interesting situation. Who knows who will be where? But, seeing them only 3 times, I believe, this season. But 5 Chicago games. That, it seemed like this was, how they say back in the 1950s and 60s, like Boston and Philadelphia played each other all the time. So did Boston and the Knicks. Like they played each other like 11 times. This is where we're headed with this, seemingly. Something else to take note at, Diana Taurasi is yet to announce any plans about her future, but if she is going to play, that could be possibly one of the final times she steps on the court, September 2nd in Phoenix against the Indiana Fever. That's something to kind of look at if you're looking at one last time to tell Diana Taurasi that reality has come indeed. That would be the game to do it. And, I think, looking at it, the Fever are definitely a threat for the Commissioner's Cup. I'm looking at 4 winnable games kind of with ease on this thing, with the only real, true test coming against New York. Who knows what Connecticut's going to look like as far as, are they going to blow it up with Alyssa Thomas in the offseason? That's nothing you can really guarantee, and that's a home game. I feel like that's perfectly winnable. Washington has never been anyone that has scared me. Chicago, I think we're going to own them. And Atlanta, they play a great style, and I think they really kind of fall into the Fever's hands. I thought they were kind of an up-tempo team when they played against us anyway. Their new coach is set to implement that a little bit more. But we could be easily looking at 4-1 in the Cup, or 5-0. That is going to be tough beating New York. That's going to be the second time we play them, but we're getting them at home early. So I don't know, man. This is a lot more encouraging than last year. And if I'm looking at it, it looks like this team has gotten some respect from the schedule makers, which is always a good sign to see. I'm sure all of these games will be broadcast on national television. We will not have to worry about seeing that at all. Games getting buried in places we can't see them. This is the most popular team in the league. This is, the year where I think Indiana wants to make a title push already. Stephanie White's in place. We know the Fever front office is going to go crazy in the offseason. And there's no real reason that they can't get a strong start and put themselves in position to challenge for the Commissioner Cup and then kind of peak going into the All-Star break with that, 5-game homestand. If you can win, the majority of those, your record should look pretty strong going into the All-Star game. And we know how this team, gets down during All-Star breaks. They come back better. So won't be as long as last year, no Olympic break, but this team gelled heavily in the second half of the year, and I don't think that will be something that will trip them up as much. It looks just off looking at it. There's a lot more home games in the first half of the year, but they'll be ready. They'll be battle tested to go anywhere in the league. A road game is not really a road game for the Indiana Fever because the Fever have fans everywhere. Of course, the single game packages I think are set to go on sale. I want to say the 17th or the 12th, one of those. So I would say get your tickets early because, these things are going to be hard to get. But yeah, man, I'm very excited. It seems like it's going to be a long, long time before we get to watch the Fever back in action. I think that this will be, a good time as any, to say, hey, I expect this team to make the conference finals at minimum. And, we'll see how, the things break our way seeding wise, but this is a quality schedule, I think, based on what's going on. And it feels like the Fever have been factored in. as a top team. No going on the road forever and, just blasting them on the schedule just like last year. This feels like a lot more respect shown. And it's gonna be interesting, man. Another game for me to circle would probably be some of those Vegas games, the 22nd, the 3rd, as well as the 24th of July. So they're kind of getting those out of the way. If you are someone in Oakland, the first time you get to see, Caitlin Clark step in your building and the Fever by proxy is June 19th. A stretch I don't really like for the Fever is after that home stand, and I guess this is why they chose to do this. They gave them those 5 games at home. You're going to be flying to Connecticut, going to New York, going home, then going back to New York, and then you come home for Vegas and then Chicago. So those would be a pretty intense, set of games, especially with the break, kind of the All-Star break wrapped in the middle of them. It's just seems pretty inconvenient, but I guess that's the cost of 5 games in a row at home. So anyway, my name is Rich Latta. Hope you guys like this video. What do you think about the Indiana Fever schedule for 2025? Are you excited? Do you think respect is being shown to the Fever at last? Anyway, I'm out of here. Peace. One lifetime.